The preliminary, I don't think till the end of September. I'm going to give you, I have
Call to order the regular meeting of the Tracy City Council. You stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stand for the invocation to order.
I wanted to share with you out of 1 John chapter 4, where it says, "There's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear." Heavenly Father, in our country right now, there's a lot of fear. And in your word, it says that the opposite of fear is not bravery, but love. And so I just pray that today you would be with the leaders of our city, that you would be with the people we've appointed to take care of it and to take charge of it, and that you would help them to make decisions out of love for their city and love for their community, and not out of fear. Give them wisdom that's beyond themselves, and help them in everything they do to be at their very best. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? Motion to approve.
Motion to approve it is written. Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You want to have a public hearing? Is there anyone here from the public that would just like to make a comment on anything that is not on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on.
I don't think Amanda's here.
Is she?
We can wait until she does, if she does, otherwise we can skip it. It's really a
Okay.
good presentation.
We'll just skip over it and move on to the consent calendar.
Make a motion to approve the July 13th minutes, work session also, and the approval of the municipal accounts payable without breakthrough beverage, and the approval of the municipal accounts receivable. Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then with breakthrough,
I'll make the motion to approve the municipal account payable to Breakthrough.
I'll second that.
the motion is second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor Council Communications. I'll start it off by saying I had to step into the 21st century this week. And if anybody's tried to call me Sunday or today, my landline got struck by lightning. It rings, but I can't answer. So to say I'm happy with VAST is not going to be mentioned, but my employer decided I needed a cell phone, so I do now have a cell phone. And I'll get the number to Diane. So I suppose if anybody from the public wants it, without waiting for the website, it's 829-7140. Everybody but you, Jeff.
829-7140.
Yep. And that's all I have. Is there any other under Mayor Council? Okay, we'll move on to department heads. Val, you want to go first?
Well, I don't have a whole lot for you this month. It's not been our normal summer at the library, of course, but we've actually been pretty busy. So hopefully people continue to come down and see us now that I think our street's going to be a little bit more torn up here pretty soon in our sidewalk. But we'll still be there, so come and see us.
They can get in the back door, can't they?
Yes, the only thing there is people want to be careful with the steps. They can be a little bit tricky. You know, so if anybody needs to use the door opener or has problems with steps, they're still going to want to probably try to come in the front.
Anything for Val? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Pam?
So, thanks to the city department, Tracy Fire Department, and the liquor and beer salesman, we are enjoying our new facility. We hear lots of comments every day about how nice it is and how good it smells there compared to others. So yeah, trying to like ask people when they go by if they don't look familiar, when they're in there, if they don't look familiar, where they're from, and we've had a lot of people that say that they're driving by and see us, so they stop in, so that's exactly what we were looking for. So I think that sales are more back to normal than the whole COVID thing, although we are still doing having increases over last year. So had a great first week of the 4th of July week type of thing, and I think that's trying to just continuing to reorganize, and now that everything's in, and thanks to the city crew again, I got a desk end of last week, so that's awesome. My 2 by 3 foot card table wasn't working out so well half the time. So, otherwise, yeah, it's going good. It's, we're doing good.
It's a nice hot afternoon. I'd invite everyone to walk down and go into the beer cave.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate it.
And, it's amazing, that whole beer cave just saves a ton of not having to worry about workman comp issues in there, and the employees, saving time on some of the, their hours that they have to spend, like restocking and stuff after work. So works out because now the beer company gets to do all that labor in there.
There you go.
And it's nice and cold in there. I try to stay out of there.
The only other question I got, Tam, and I don't know, I wasn't in any of the liquor store committee. The parking out front, is there any plans to do any striping, or is it just kind of hit and miss, or?
There's gonna be, we still gotta put the handicap sign in,
Okay.
and, we're gonna paint the pavement yet, but we wanted to wait till the 28-day curing period, so get all the moisture out of the concrete, so.
I was
We'll be
asked, so I
doing
thought
that.
I'd ask.
Yep.
Super.
And always, any suggestions or comments, definitely feel free to let us know.
Anything else for Tam? Thank you.
We good? Thank you.
Chief?
I don't have anything new for you tonight other than the report I wrote you. Just mentioned that we'll be having National Night Out on Tuesday next week. So invite everybody to come do our drive-through social distancing event, but yet still try to have it. So
Sounds good.
And that's at Food Pride, right?
yep, it's gonna be on the west side of Food Pride. So yep. So there should be some more advertising coming out for it the rest of the week. So.
Are they doing anything in the park?
No, there will be nothing in the park due to all the construction issues, and so,
Be awful tough to control social distancing there.
yeah, and we're not supposed to have a group more than 25 people outdoors, so we're gonna try to keep people moving and keep things in check with where they're supposed to, so. But still have the event, so. The other option was National Night Out, nationally is tried to postpone it till October, but we all know what Tracy's like in October with harvest and sports and schools and everything else. October's just
Blizzard, sports,
Yeah.
wolves.
the possible blizzard. Yeah, exactly. So,
What time was that, Jason? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
6 to 8.
6 to 8?
Yep. So, any questions about my report?
Nope, thanks.
Looks good.
All right.
Thank you for everything. Peg, didn't even look in the corner. You must have been bad. I skipped right over you.
I know. You got the emailed report. Water and sewer for the month of June was up by about $1,400, so that's good to see. We'll see what the pools filling in the backyards adds to us here on Wednesday. We'll bill that out. Tam touched on the liquor store. June was back down to average, but the good news is July went back up. So the first 20 days of July, we actually made 10,000 more this year than we did last year. So I think the location definitely helps with that. June, however, was down month over month, so from May to June, it was down 21,000. But May was considerably high at 91,000 in sales.
Yeah. Biggest
That's,
month of that.
yeah, that's just unprecedented. Swift Lake, that stayed about average, about $1,300. You'll have on the agenda tonight the contract from Cassell for changing the program system. And then the other thing that we're also working on in the office is Minlars is going to go away. So we started training this past week for Min Drive, it's called. So we're going to be changing our systems over to on the DMV side, which will happen in November. So our training starts now for the full conversion in November. So we have a lot of training going on the rest of the year. Any
That's always
questions?
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't learn something new. Galloway. Anything for Peg?
I like the report.
Thanks, Dave. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Can I like just hop in here for a second?
I know, sorry.
Oh,
So, yeah, so sales in May were really high. So sales in June were down from May, but higher than they were last year in June.
yep.
And we had like a $10,000 profit last month, which is like a 32,000 or somewhere around in their profit so far this year. So I just wanted to make sure people understood that we're like, our sales aren't down or profit's not down, but yeah. So just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Okay, Jeff, would you like that?
Jeff?
All right, COVID communications had gone down for a little while now. In the past week and a half or so, they've jumped up with some of the new monies that have been available that have came to everybody's knowledge for the city and mostly Lyon County. Want to give you an update on the Small Cities Grant real quick. The good news, bad news. We got jumped up to 16 applications, which there was 9 approvals, where they feel that at least 4 more will be approvals for the first part of town, I guess section A. And 2 of those says, if you didn't know, as a council, that we gave actually some loans because some of their projects went quite a bit higher than what they were anticipated. So we gave a couple of low interest loans to cover some of that, call it down payment or match. So we did that. We're going to be able to get rid of all the money, I have no doubt in my mind, but one of the things I was wanting to avoid to go to section B, which would be across Center Street. I really wanted to keep it in the other one. It just shows more of a need for it, but we've already got 5 applications as of last week from the second level, and they've all been pre-approved. So if we have 14 from this area and then the pre-approvals from the other side, we're already looking at 19 of the 21 that we're going to be giving out. So we've done well. I would have just liked to have seen, just want anybody, if you know of a neighbor that's in the A section of town for the Small Cities Grant and you haven't applied and you need some work done on your house, I would really like to apply. I will help you fill out the application. I will deliver the application. I'll do whatever it needs to, but I'd like to get a few more in section A. So if we could communicate that a little bit with the city, that would be awesome.
So section A is, I know it's the west end of town.
West end of town, avoiding uptown, but it's all the way out to 10th Street. You know, and it's kind of, it's a little bit of Center Street all the way up, and then it kind of curves up 2nd Street and goes all the way up to Morgan. So I would have liked to gotten all 21 in that area, all the way out there. And I believe we still could. I believe there's some people that still don't believe in taking anything for nothing, which, yeah, I understand that, but it's a wonderful program, and like I told this group earlier, I believe that we can apply for this again in 2025 right away. We just got to make sure that this is all used, and we take care of the infrastructure of older homes here in town. Multiple trips to Orchard Lanes. Orchard Lanes, just like owning a house, if you build a new house at 10 years, you start running into some issues. Some things start wearing out. In the past couple of months, we've had now 2 of the water softeners that the EDA or city owns, or the apartments own, that have gone out. So we've had to go through Culligan on those to put in new water softeners. 2 dehumidifiers, in the past 4 weeks now. Anybody's had a dehumidifier at your house, a lot of times those things don't last more than 3 or 4 years. And what I'm having to do now is test them when I'm down there, and just to see whether or not they're just running or they're actually doing something. And a couple of them I couldn't even get to run anymore. So multiple trips out there. It's just things are at 10 years are starting to break down and show some wear and tear. Still very nice apartments out there. Broad Acres, if you haven't seen that new one that's ready to be moved into, that twin home out there, go take a look at it. I tell people, if you drive up Center Street and look at it from the back, the new one out there looks like a 4-plex or an 8-plex. It's so wide across the back. It's enormous. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Anybody wants to see that, or if anybody wants a tour of that one or one of the other one that's empty, just give me a call and I'll give you a tour of it. Working with a couple developers again, different ones just looking for housing. Also keeping an eye on USDA, Minnesota Housing Authority. They don't have any programs for exactly what we're looking for right now, but whenever something, I stay on top of it, so whenever something does pop up, we're there. EDA meetings are still in person, and we've had one already. We've got a full slate next Wednesday, or a week from this coming Wednesday, of EDA at 6:45 in the morning. Just a lot of projects with current business owners with the COVID updates and the new loans or the new monies that could possibly be available. Anything else I can help you with?
Is there a way with this COVID thing that you could have an open house out there at the duplexes?
Yeah, Matt Nackmus got me the rules today from the Realtors Association on what I need to do to have that out there. It's just mask required, a certain amount of people in there at a time. Nobody can pass each other, so we'd have to have a little waiting room in the garage. Again, mask, there would have to be an exit plan, that type of thing. Nothing major, nothing that I couldn't handle. That was always one of the things, George, I wanted to do was the Friday night of Boxcar Days, is to have something, and then all day on Saturday, just really open it up for not only the people that are here in Tracy that live here and around the area, but actually for the people that come back for that weekend. I was really hoping for a big event out there, which I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but yes.
Well, there's something we could have sooner and later.
You could, yes.
To help, I think if people see them, it's better than just driving by.
Yep, and there's a lot of people driving by, waiting and looking and just sitting there staring, and I just want to be able to show them.
Just the sign out, open house, come on in. And
Yep. So yes, so you can.
Sooner than later, if you
Yep.
can plan that.
Because we need to get one more of those sold, and then have a little bit of interest in maybe a smaller one on the backside in the northeast lot that's available. And I think Pipestone Development Company will start a new one again to continue on with that project. But if you get a chance, or if you know of somebody, just give them my number. And all they gotta do is call me on my cell phone, and I will run out there and I will show it to them. Day, night, morning, weekend, doesn't matter. Just give me an idea, and I will show it to them. Anything else?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
As far as the highlights, we survived a rain event Saturday, which didn't force us to bypass, so that was a good thing. We got some progress going on with the infrastructure replacement. They are still planning on washing the water tower. That was a highlight. They're supposed to be here next week. I know wind kind of plays a factor in it, windy Thursday and Friday, so, might see him either this week or next, just depending on how things play out. Our, through the phone line also got struck on the water tower Saturday, so Sunday morning I ended up replacing the sensor, to get that back up and running again. That's 2 times this year that's happened now. Hopefully it's done with that, but we are getting asphalt patching equipment ready to go. Hopefully this week we can get a few loads down, try to get these bigger potholes, and we'll work out from there. I don't know if you had any questions for me.
You answered the only 2 I had. Water tower and potholes. Anybody
Have the
else?
streets all been gone through sweeping?
What's that?
Have the streets all been gone through with the
Yeah,
sweeping?
we're kind of waiting now. We've been, we started spraying weeds, a little breezy today, continue that, but along the curb and gutter. So once they die and dry up, then we'll go through and the sweeper will actually break most of them off and get them out of there. So we're just kind of waiting to get that process done and give them some time to die off. So there's still a lot more to spray yet, so.
Anybody else? Eric, did you have anything?
Oh, just a few kind of big picture things. So we're still working our way through the audit currently. They're asking us questions still. You know, as you know, it's delayed. They haven't been able to come out, and we have until August 15th to complete it. I was told this last week that they're going to try to get us a draft by the end of July. If they don't get us a draft, I asked, you know, because we've got to be able to write a management response to it, and you've got to accept it, and that doesn't give us a whole heck of a lot of time to do all that and get it filed by the state by the 15th. So I'm a little concerned, and if that's the case, I may have to ask for another extension with the support of the auditors. But I'll probably know that, you know, by the end of the week. It's just been difficult to get everything, you know, put together because of all the remote working and everything else. It's the same situation that everybody else is in, but I just wanted to give you that update. I am really, I made the decision in the last 2 weeks that, you know, I'm going to build the budget, you know, with the new account codes that we're going to use for next year. And now that we're putting the new system in place, assuming you approve the contract tonight, that'll be helpful too. It was just difficult for me to beat my head against the wall trying to figure out how to convert the old numbers to the new numbers, and so what it means though is that I'm essentially building it from scratch, and almost one line item at a time. And so what we intend to have is we have some preliminary estimates for you in August in terms of what it might look like. In September, then you'll adopt the preliminary budget. But I would ask for your patience and your flexibility because, you know, as we work through this, you know, I think we're going to find, you know, some changes. And so maybe in the past you don't see a lot of changes between the preliminary budget and the final. You might in this particular case because we've got to meet our deadlines, but we also want to get it right by the time you adopt the final. So just want to set that expectation. But it is going to look different. You're going to see a lot of more big picture things like what are we spending on housing, for example? What are we spending on our marketing plan? You know, things like that. And so we can talk about those things. You're going to see a 5-year capital improvement program list, you know, that you may not have seen it's in total, like you may not have seen in the past. And so some things are going to look a little bit differently, but I think it's going to help you make better decisions about how you spend the taxpayers' money. The last thing I want to mention that didn't get mentioned, and Shane might want to elaborate on this too, but Saturday is the cleanup day. We postponed it, you know, from May, because in May everybody was under stay-at-home order, so we couldn't do it, and decided we would do it in August. So it's on Saturday, 9 to 4. 9 to 4. Okay, 9 to 4. And I don't know, Diane and Shane, if you want to add anything to that in terms of location and, you know, what you can bring, stuff like that. You know more of the details than I do.
I think the list went out on Facebook, and I think it's on the Tracy channel too.
Yep.
And I think there may be a link on the website.
There was an ad in the paper this week too, the same information.
There's a list on there and what the fees are for them. You can ask when you show up Saturday too, and then go back and get it. You know, like hazardous materials such as paint, oils, stuff like that, we cannot take. There's MPCA rules against that. You can take them to hazardous waste up in Lyon County office up in Marshall, the fairgrounds. As far as that, you know, we'll take tires, furniture, appliances, just different prices based on what you're bringing in and the size. TV, computers, monitors, stuff like that, and then general garbage. You know, I've seen some people try to bring in the past, you know, drywall from their home repair projects and stuff like that. We don't accept there. It should be kind of something they should be doing on their own, but we encourage everybody to use the service, and I'm sure Jason would like a few to use their service also, getting their yards cleaned up. It's a good opportunity to do so. Otherwise, that will be there a little before 9. We're not going to open the gate till 9, and we are closed at 4. So they give us time to mobilize in the morning and push everything away at 4. So
it's always helpful to have volunteers too.
Yep.
I know that Diane was telling me that we have a Boy Scout troop that's going to help out, and I know some of the city staff will be there as well. And so if the council would like to come and help on Saturday, that would be great too. In fact, I think Diane even has a sign-up sheet, as a matter of fact, if anybody wants to sign up for a time. I'd say Matt can come, but he charges too much money to show up.
No, this is volunteer.
Oh, okay, all right. All right.
Put him down for 4 hours.
Yeah.
we've had some people, volunteers in the past, help others that can't get their stuff there. We're looking for those people. The ones we've had in the past, some aren't able to come because of certain reasons, but you know, we could really use those people to transport it, because the city can't go and pick the items up from the people, but they can get volunteers to do that for them. So anybody that can help out with that too is appreciated, for the people that can't physically get the items there, or they don't have the transportation to do so.
How's payment working this year?
If you want to pay with a card, you have to do it Friday at City Hall before 4 o'clock, or anytime this week really. They'll do prepayment, otherwise cash check on site. And Diane's going to be the collector for that.
Especially the cash part, huh?
That's all I wanted to add, Mayor.
You got anything else for Eric?
Well, I don't have anything for him, I don't think, but, well, the chief is here. How are we coming with our city cleanup stuff for, you know, that business? And maybe you got the answer to that, I don't know.
I think Chief would be a better person to answer that question than I would.
Well, the first round went out with warnings, and we had almost total compliance other than 4 citations that were issued. And then another round went out of warnings here, went out this last week. There was about a dozen of them, just, you know, vehicles that weren't expired before are now expired, and, you know, some things have all of a sudden shown up in people's yards. And we had one of the citations paid for. One came back because it was mailed, returned to sender. We must have a bad address on somebody that owns a property that's pretty much abandoned. And then, like I said, another round of warnings went out this time. 2 of the citations that were issued the first month weren't paid. Well, one party's still sitting in Lyon County, and so those will end up being criminal citations, and they'll get a court date where they'll have to go attend those.
So in all, you're 90% done? 80?
Oh, it's a all summer process,
Oh, you don't know.
so it just keeps going. So we just keep working on it, try to get all the new stuff out in the beginning of the month, and work on completing it by the end of the month, so, and then starting over the next month.
So what do you do, or I thought there was an ordinance once, maybe this is the time to do it, but campers parked on the street. You know, a lot of times they're there for a week or two and then they're gone, and they're back again, but some have been sitting.
Well, actually,
Oh,
our
yeah.
parking ordinance is a 24-hour parking ordinance, so if you leave something on the street, it's supposed to be moved once every 24 hours.
So do you have any of those?
That aren't moved every 24 hours?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That they've been talked to?
it hasn't been strictly enforced, I guess. If there's a neighbor that complains or a problem with it, then we let them know that, you know, this is what the ordinance is and ask that they comply or find somewhere else to park it. So,
This is a harsh question, and I hope the people listening don't take it wrong, but if you have an ordinance, why don't we follow the rules? It's like having a speed limit and you still drive 80. I mean, I'm not blaming, I'm just asking, if we have these ordinances, why don't we have someone or somehow stay on top of them? I don't know who that is.
well, and we receive a complaint about certain issues, we respond to them and take care of them, so.
So you wait till the complaint comes. That's kind of the rule of thumb.
I didn't hear
You
you.
wait till the complaint comes, that's the rule of thumb?
Not always if it's an issue. I mean, you know, some people are out in Broad Acres and they're the only house on the entire block. I mean, they're really hurting
Not
having a
hurting.
camper out in front of their
Yeah.
house if it's been parked there for over 24 hours. I mean, so.
I'm just trying to catch up on how that works.
That answer your question?
For now, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the ordinance? Okay.
Thanks, Gib. Okay, moving on, and before we forget, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session after the end of the regular meeting to discuss legal issues.
I'm not sure exactly what the, do you need to cite?
You do, you need to reference it. I would just,
It's legal
threaten
advice.
litigation.
Yeah, about litigation, yeah.
Yep.
We need a motion to go into a closed meeting.
We're gonna do that
To
before we
discuss
do
legal-
the-
No, at
Threaten
the end of the
litigation.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll make
Otherwise,
that
I'll
motion.
forget.
Second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now I won't forget it. Now we'll go on to new business. Public hearing to change city code.
Mayor, this item is just to set the public hearing, which should be on August 13th at the next city council meeting for the ordinance change to add electric fence to ban fences in the city of Tracy.
10th.
Did I say the 13th?
Yep.
Yes.
10th.
Okay, just making
You're
sure
right,
I
it
didn't,
is-
making
it is
sure I
the
didn't have
10th.
another meeting
Well,
then.
what was I thinking? Why did I say the 13th? I have no idea why I said that.
Well, that was a Monday in July.
It was a Monday in July, that's why it was.
Sorry.
Good as yours.
Heck if I know.
So I'd make a motion for that that public hearing on August 10th at 6:45.
Okay, under discussion of is all the advertising been done, and do we need to waive the first reading? And
We don't advertise after you set it,
okay,
so it will be
so then
advertised.
you need to waive the first reading of it in order, okay, so if you'd add that to your motion.
And waive the first reading of it.
Yep.
I'll add that to my motion.
Add it to your second.
And I'll second that.
Okay. We got a motion and a second then for a public hearing on August 10th at 6:45. We're going to waive the first reading. We'll call the vote.
Van Dyke,
Aye.
Higgs,
Aye.
Howe,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Motion carries.
You caught me off guard being first.
She does that. Next item is Resolution 2020-42, approve a gambling permit for the Fire Relief Association.
It's a routine item, Mayor, just, for the gambling permit and, entertain any questions you might have.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2020-42 to approve the gambling permit.
I'd second it.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the vote.
Jones.
Aye.
Tell.
Aye.
Teigs.
Aye.
Van Dyke.
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Motion carries. Next resolution is 2020-43, the MnDOT Aeronautics Maintenance Operation Grant Amendment.
So we can ask for a mower as part of our grant. Shane's probably got more information.
That's essentially what it is. They're just filtering the CARES money through the M&O grant process. So there isn't another whole grant application out there. It's just an amendment of the current. So it's $20,000, and based on what I've heard from MnDOT and the FAA, that a mower would fall into that category as an approved use. So that's kind of our intent, to save us a lot of time out there and get rid of a potential time bomb of a mower. So
That's good news. Don't forget it.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-43 for the MnDOT Aeronautics M&O Grant Amendment.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the vote.
Teigs.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Van Dyke.
Aye.
Tell.
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Motion carries. Oh, and these are the painful ones. 2020-44 to approve payment for Dunick. Pay at 5.
Shane, you want to introduce Kyle?
Kyle?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Kyle again here with ISG. I guess I don't have anything too overly pressing as part of this. This is another monthly pay application for the contractor, Dunick Incorporated, for the work they're doing out here in the street reconstruct project. As everybody can see, there's a lot of work going on out there, and I think as of the end of last week, there's a little bit of good news that they did get some asphalt paving done on the northerly, about half of the project. So making progress there, and even continuing to make a little bit of progress today, even after the rain. It looked like everything held up pretty well with that over the weekend, so that's good. And like I said, just wanted to be around if anybody has any questions or comments, concerns, anything offhand.
Are they on track, as far as you're concerned?
That was part of the
Ahead of
discussion.
schedule?
Yeah, as part of the discussion today, they're on track. They as far as their schedule goes. We were talking with the superintendent today, and he said it's going to be busy this fall still. Obviously, they're right around, well, as of this last pay application, which was through the very beginning of July, I believe. Here they were just about 50% done with the contract. So obviously, it's been a couple weeks since then. They've been continuing to make progress, and I think they'll be right on track to finish things up where they need to be at their, I believe it's an October 1st substantial completion date, so that's not everything. There's going to be a little bit of work next spring that has some final dates on it, the final paving and restoration, but the work this year, I think, has an October 1st date on it.
So the block on 2nd Street, 3rd Street, on 3rd Street in front of, the main businesses and everything, what condition will that be in by Labor Day weekend?
Probably done.
They should be getting pretty close by Labor Day weekend. Obviously, with an end of September or 1st of October final timeline, I don't have an exact condition that I can tell you, or what I don't know what the schedule is, but typically they would, just working my way backwards from a few weeks, from their final completion date, they would have to have some curb and gutter and some paving done, and probably finishing up some of the sidewalk work and things like that. But it'll still be pretty busy down there in that final block all the way at the county road.
Is it going to be usable?
Oh, I think all throughout construction, obviously, they're going to have access to the businesses, whether it's some type of temporary surface up to the front doors that they need to. They're kind of working with businesses in and out. But is there something specific that,
Well, it's just, I mean, there's
Knowing
no
that-
idea yet what's
Right.
gonna be going on Labor Day
Right.
weekend.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, normally it's our town celebration.
sure, yeah,
And that block is where there are different
yeah, plenty of things going on.
things going on.
Yeah, we'll
Like
definitely
I
make
said,
them aware that
who knows?
usually contractors like to work with cities on big celebration days and things like that, so we'll give them a little bit more motivation to finish things up in that maybe a couple weeks early, as early as they can, but I think it's still gonna be pretty busy down in this other southerly area.
Biggest unknown is gonna be the weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been fortunate to have
Problem.
some good weather here lately, and another week or so of good weather coming up, so hopefully they'll continue to make good progress like they have been.
Any other questions?
Nope, I have curb and gutter north of my house though, so. Progress.
So now we gotta pay the bill. You gonna make the
Yeah,
motion?
let's pay the bill then. Make a motion to approve resolution 2020-44 approving payment, application number 5.
Excuse me, just one more comment. Just wanted to check with Shane. There was one clerical on that initial resolution that was published in the packet. I don't know if we got that updated or not.
I don't know, did you, did you send me those,
I
or?
did. If
It's
that
less?
didn't make it. It's more, but it's well, when we look at the big picture, it's not a lot more. It's $800 or so, $855, I think.
Yeah, there's a discrepancy with some valve.
Yeah, the valve, and then, yeah, with one of the bid unit prices, but back to, actually when it was bid, the contractor had, the way bids come in, they'll bid, there's 3, let's call it a valve at $100 each, and then they put the dollar total in, and they had a clerical error on some of their paperwork there in the initial bid, so, going back to that, just to get things straightened out for the rural development grant funding, make sure all of our numbers match up correctly.
So the amount on this is not correct?
I'll get you the updated one here, so I can read it.
We got a copy of it here too, a few copies if you'd like. And here's here. It's still, yeah, it's okay.
It was 864, 197, 06.
06.
It's a little different.
Okay, so I'll amend the motion to pay the amount of $864,197.06. Does that work?
Yep.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Call the vote.
Brandite,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Chow,
Aye.
Teagues,
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Motion carries.
Why do those airs never go in our favor? I just,
It seems like every time.
someday you're gonna surprise me.
One of these days,
You
yeah.
are, you are.
Yeah, but it'll be $1.63 was miscalculated.
Hey, at least they'll be positive. and they'll-
Yeah, I'm an engineer. When you look at the percentage difference, it's not a big percentage, but it's still money. Still going the wrong way right now.
Okay. Next item is the resolution for the Cassell software contract.
Mayor, this is from 2 weeks ago when you asked us to bring forward Civic Systems with their Cassell software to upgrade our financial software. What you have in front of you is that contract with an addition. We talked about it at the meeting, but we hadn't decided whether to include that or not. The addition is the building permit module, which will allow us to do all of our building permits online, as opposed to the 1970s technology that we're doing now in paper triplicate. That includes an additional setup fee of $8,800 and then an additional $1,300 annually. I'm going to defer to Shane to talk about what he gains with that. in terms of the value of that. It's your choice, but we are recommending that you include it in this contract.
As far as the permitting portion of it?
Yeah.
You know, I can kind of tell you the process now. I think I may have told you at the planning meeting or whatever, previous meetings, but right now the process is the resident or property owner comes to City Hall, they fill out a building permit application, and then I go through and sign it. I gotta check all their documents, make sure they have plans, whatever specs that we need. And then on carbon paper, I sign the permit, or Clay if I'm not around, and then the administrator signs the other half. And then that gets scanned and emailed to the county and us. And then we print it out at City Hall, or at the shop, put it in our file, and we do the site inspections. We have the permit numbers and all that available to us. And then we have separate papers for site inspections. And then we got pictures also that we take on various different inspections. And then we have to scan all that stuff in once the permit's closed, along with the pictures, and save it onto the server. So there's just a lot of paper and going back and digging through the permit file, where in this case, hey, the inspection's here, I type it in. If it doesn't show up, I know that there's no permit been applied. Because sometimes, you know, we'll go to City Hall, and right after we leave, someone comes in with a permit, and they want to start, you know, a day later, and I go and look, it's like, oh, someone's shingling. I gotta go back to City Hall and see if there's a permit laying there, and if not, then I have to go back and tell them they need to get a permit or whatever else. You know, it's just a lot of running around, where if we can do it electronically, it's a lot easier, for one, to see if it exists, and two, enter the information as far as inspections, and I think a lot of, I haven't really looked real deep in, you know, how this program works. I know Banyan did it that way, I'm sure this one's the same, but you can upload the pictures right into the software. So then 4 years down the road, you know, something happens, litigation, hey, there it is. You know, you're not going back and looking through PDF files of a bunch of random inspections of trying to figure out put all the pieces together. So
you're saying we get our money's worth?
yeah, especially in time, you know, and some of these permits, they get drug on for 2 years, you know, then you got to sit with that piece of paper on your desk for 2 years because it's not closed out yet, you know, because we like to scan everything in one file. You know, this house got a deck permit. Well, then that'll get done, say, in a couple months. Well, then they want to do a remodel. Well, that remodel continues for 3 years, you know, as long as the project don't go stagnant for more than 6 months, that permit's still good for the life of the project. So just a long time to have paperwork laying around for, you know, various projects too.
So would the public still come down to the city office, and our staff would put it in? They would come down here,
I know
pay for it,
I've
or
talked
do
to
they
other cities
input
on
it?
that. Some of them do that, and I don't know what capability this has to do online permit applications. Some they just type it in, and then the next day, whatever staff does the entry, the initial entry, and then what they do is they send an email out to whoever, say, hey, here's what you owe, and they do the payment part, and then once that's done, then it's up to the building officials to close the rest of it out. So and it seems to work well for them. And they could also upload plans and whatever specs right on the website. So I don't know if it's linked to an email in an office and it just forwards on, or how the documents get uploaded, but that's kind of how that process works. So
I'm just curious on the cost side, would the fees collected for a building permit go to offset the annual use of that, or is that the intent, or?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, we're going to collect the same amount of fees regardless of what software we use. Although you could theoretically, if you wanted to, increase those fees, you know, as part of your schedule. But it doesn't, the budget, you know, includes a, you know, schedule for
Right.
collecting a variety of fees, but it's not necessarily targeted for this.
Or it's, okay,
Yeah.
and that was my question, I
Yeah.
was just curious about that.
Because the fees and fines and that all goes into the general fund,
Yep.
and this is a general fund activity, so it generally goes in there, yes.
In a roundabout way, it'll pay
Yes.
for it.
Yes.
So then the question is, do we approve the contract with or without the,
That's correct. Mayor, the contract you see in front of you is included.
Yep.
If you don't want to include it, then you would need to indicate that, you know, in the motion.
And we have the money in our budget.
Yes, we can handle this, yes.
Then I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2020-45 of the Cassell software contract to include the additional portion for the building permit module.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Call a vote?
Powell,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Landine,
Aye.
Teigs,
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye, motion carries. And the last item is a peddler's license.
This is another routine item, Mayor, provide a license for a company that wants to sell books door to door.
I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-46, the peddler's license, as long as the fee is paid.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
How long is the license for?
A year.
A year.
The only other question I got, Chief, you got any issues with this peddler's license? Okay,
No, it's actually beneficial if they come to library, so.
okay, yep. Any other discussion? Call the vote?
Jones,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Landine,
Aye.
Teigs,
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we're back to the expensive stuff again. Matt, you got anything for us?
I have nothing for you. We can go into closed session.
Okay. Anything else that needs to be mentioned tonight before we adjourn the meeting and go to closed session? Okay, then I entertain a motion to close the open portion of the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.